India is not poor. India has been made poor. On one side, you see billionaires flaunting their wealth, and on the other, crores of people go hungry every night. This is not fate, this is loot. Loot of black money, loot of public land, loot of people's rights. If even a fraction of this stolen wealth was returned, no Indian would sleep hungry. But instead, corruption has turned our nation's wealth into a playground for the powerful. We have all seen how in many states, so-called bulldozer justice is applied swiftly and ruthlessly against the poor in the name of removing encroachments from government land. But the question is, will the same bulldozer be used when an urban elite encroaches upon a public park in collusion with officials? Or is this justice reserved only for the powerless? The Yamuna Sports Complex Banquet Hall is one such glaring example, a property worth thousands of crores, shamelessly handed over for a throwaway price. This is nothing but land grabbing in the name of development. In this video, we expose how the loot was planned, how the rules were twisted, and how public wealth was sold for private profit.
Of this banquet hall may become similar to the model of Dharavi, airport, highways. It will become a source of corruption.
अगर DDA को कोई लगाम करनी है तो वो corruption को
मिटाए. In the case of the banquet hall, there has been deliberate manipulation and misrepresentation. In the tender, the total area allocated to the banquet hall was shown as just 4,233 square meters, whereas in reality the operator is occupying over 20,000 square meters, including parking space. Even the 3 banquet halls alone cover more than 6,000 square meters. This is a clear case of gross underreporting, intended to mislead both the public and the authorities. As a result, the lease rental is fixed on the underreported land area, making it much lower than the actual rental value, thereby causing huge financial loss to the public exchequer. Google Earth Images measurements fully confirm this large-scale encroachment and misuse. This needs a thorough investigation by independent authorities. Suspicious tender and low reserve price. The reserve price was inexplicably fixed at only 1.29 crore rupees per year, an amount so disproportionately low that it raises serious suspicion of mala fide intent. From the documents, it appears that the reserve price was calculated on the basis of the circle rate, which is merely the government's minimum benchmark valuation for property. However, it is a matter of common knowledge that in India, circle rates are invariably much lower than the actual prevailing market price, often by a very wide margin. This artificial undervaluation creates a systemic loophole that is routinely exploited in real estate transactions, generating large-scale black money and enabling private profiteering at the expense of public assets. Further, the calculation of the reserve price appears to have been based on a land area of only 4,233 square meters, whereas the actual land area under possession and use of the operator is going to exceed 20,000 square meters. This glaring underreporting of land area has further suppressed the valuation. In sum, the reserve price was deliberately kept abnormally low, due to reliance on the artificially depressed circle rate, instead of the actual market rate, and gross understatement of the land area. Both these factors cumulatively resulted in an unjustifiable undervaluation of public property, causing wrongful gain to private parties and corresponding loss to the public exchequer. This needs to be properly investigated. Low lease rental value. Independent property dealers and market benchmarks clearly established that commercial land in this prominent area is valued at approximately 10 lakh rupees per square meters. For an occupied land parcel of nearly 20,000 square meters, the total property value works out to around 2,000 crore rupees. Even if one applies a conservative rental yield of just 5%, the annual lease rent should have been in the range of 100 crore rupees or more. Instead, the lease rent has been fixed at a paltry 2.49 crore rupees per year, which is less than 3% of the actual market value. This is not merely an administrative lapse but a calculated undervaluation of valuable public land, amounting to a fraudulent diversion of public assets. The scale of loss to the public exchequer runs into hundreds of crores annually, benefiting private parties at the direct cost of citizens. Declared temporary, built permanent. DDA declared the banquet hall as a temporary structure. This label helped bypass mandatory approvals, including fire NOC, environmental clearance, and building sanctions. The tender stated a simple tentage would be used. But in reality, the park was dug up, a concrete foundation was laid, and a heavy steel structure was built, stronger than many permanent buildings. This is a fraudulent violation of building and environmental laws, which needs investigation. Disclosure of reserve price in advance. The tender process itself raises serious red flags and points towards deliberate manipulation. The reserve price was disclosed in the tender document itself, which is against the very principles of fair and competitive bidding. Disclosure of the reserve price in advance allows bidders to collude and quote marginally higher amounts, defeating the spirit of open competition and transparency. Here lies another layer of corruption hidden in YSC's tendering process in terms of possible cartel formation. In June 2024, tenders were floated for 7 sports complexes. 3 caterers ended up bagging 6 banquet contracts, while no bid came for the 7th, Chilla Sports Complex. This points towards cartel formation, which goes against the Competition Act, 2002, and violates the principle of free and fair competition. Violation of Banquet Hall Regulation Act 2010. As per the Banquet Hall Regulation Act 2010, banquet halls are allowed only in commercial and industrial areas, not in sports complexes or residential neighborhoods. By permitting a banquet hall in YSC, DDA has acted in direct violation of this law. This alone makes the project illegal and subject to cancellation. This also needs investigation. Manipulation of master plan. As per the Master Plan of Delhi 2021, only a multipurpose hall is allowed in divisional sports centers. No standalone banquet hall is permitted. Yet, DDA twisted this rule, falsely claiming a separate banquet hall can be part of a multipurpose hall. But a fully functional multipurpose hall already exists near gate number 4. This is a clear case of rule bending to suit private interests. The Master Plan of Delhi 2021 clearly allows only 5% of the land in a divisional sports complex for commercial use. But in Yamuna Sports Complex, this law is being openly violated. The banquet hall alone covers 20,000 square meters, and near gate number 1, a restaurant cum bar, is planned on another 3,000 square meters. Together, that is 23,000 square meters. While the total area of the complex is 27 hectares, or 270,000 square meters, this means commercial use has already shot up to 8.5%, far above the legal limit of 5%. And if the proposed hot air ballooning venture is added, the figure will cross 10%. Step by step, this sports complex is being converted into a commercial marketplace in the name of sports. This is nothing less than a loot of public land. Water and electricity at public cost. The tender provided banquet operators with water and electricity connections, facilitated by DDA. This means public resources are being diverted for private profits, again in violation of norms. This is not a simple case of irregularity, it amounts to criminal breach of trust, fraud, and conspiracy under the Prevention of Corruption Act and the Indian Penal Code. By fixing such an artificially low reserve price for banquet hall and disclosing it in advance, the authorities have compromised the integrity of the tendering process, violated the principles of natural justice, and acted against public interest. This is not mere stealing, it is an institutionalized dacoity on public property, which warrants a court-monitored investigation by independent agencies to fix accountability, recover losses, and initiate criminal proceedings against all responsible officials and beneficiaries. DDA track record of corruption. Sadly, corruption charges against DDA are not new. Commonwealth Games Village Housing Scam, 2010, there were allegations of undervaluation and irregular allotments. Land allotment scams. Public land handed to private players at throwaway prices. Housing irregularities, manipulation in allotment lists for DDA flats. Commercial plot scandals. Artificially low reserve prices benefiting select bidders. This banquet hall deal fits the same corrupt pattern. The bigger picture. What do we see here in YSC? Misuse of the master plan. Violation of the Banquet Hall Regulation Act. Bypassing of building and environmental approvals. Under-reporting of land use. Artificially low reserve price. Free utilities at public cost. Possible cartel formation. Friends, when news of the banquet hall construction inside Yamuna Sports Complex spread, the residents of nearby colonies rose in protest. They saw this project not as development, but as an attack on their green lungs, their sports culture, and their right to a healthy environment. People came together and submitted their written protests to the DDA and the Yamuna Sports Complex management. They hoped that the authorities would listen to their voices. But sadly, nothing happened. The residents did not stop there. They approached their public representatives, the local councillor, MLA, and even the MP, submitting memorandums and demanding that the project be stopped. Yet again, no action followed. When repeated appeals failed, the people united under the banner of the Federation of Societies, representing over 40 residential societies. Vigyan Vihar Housing Society, Ram Vihar RWA, and concerned citizens like Ajit Kumar stepped forward, and finally, a writ petition was filed before the Honorable Delhi High Court. But even after so many efforts, no tangible result has come out so far. The banquet hall construction continues, while the concerns of residents remain unaddressed. This situation has left many people questioning if citizens, despite collective opposition and legal recourse, cannot protect their sports complex and environment, then where does the real power of democracy lie? This is not just the story of Yamuna Sports Complex. It reflects a bigger struggle, the struggle of citizens against commercialization of public spaces, against indifference of authorities, and against a system where people's voices often get drowned out by vested interests. Friends, this fight against the banquet hall inside Yamuna Sports Complex has many layers, and we have been documenting it through our YouTube videos. Our first video, titled Banquet or Nature: 10 Violations of Environmental Laws, exposed how the construction violates environmental laws, with tree cutting, destruction of parkland, and no proper clearance. Another shocking video, titled Trees Imprisoned, showed 2 living trees literally imprisoned inside the banquet hall walls. We also released a Hindi video titled Pedon Ka Katleam Kyun, highlighting how a space meant for sports is being converted into a liquor serving banquet hall. In video titled Banquet Hall Ghotala YSC Land Grabbing, we showed how precious public land was taken in the name of development. And in video titled YSC Mein Shadi, Sharab, Shor, Patakhe, we revealed how the law of the land and environmental norms were blatantly ignored. All these videos are linked in the description box. I appeal to you, please watch them, share them widely, and spread awareness. Every view, every share, and every raised voice adds strength to this movement. Together, we can still save our sports complex from commercialization. Legalized land grabbing has become the silent epidemic of India. From Jharkhand, where tribal land was handed to mining corporates, to Dharavi in Mumbai, where lakhs face displacement for real estate profits, the story is the same. In Bihar, more than 1,000 acres of land was leased to a private coal-based power project for just 1 rupee rent, a mockery of public interest. And now, Delhi's Yamuna Sports Complex faces the same betrayal. Land worth over 2,000 crore rupees, created for sports and community use, has been gifted to a private party for a liquor-serving banquet hall. This is not development, it is daylight robbery of public resources in the name of law. Call to action. If you believe public land must serve public good and not private greed, share this video widely. Subscribe to Deep Insight with Ajit Kumar. Together, let us demand accountability and protect our Yamuna Sports Complex.